In December 22, the German national football team flew home from Qatar in silence. They had gone out in the group stage. Again. For a program that had won 4 World Cups, finished second twice more, and treated the tournament like a personal calendar event. The exit felt like something worse than a loss. It felt like the end of something. Some German newspapers did not mince words. The image of Hansi Flick standing pitchside at Khalifa International Stadium, watching Spain eliminate his side, made the front pages of sports outlets across Europe. Germany had scored 5 goals in 3 group games. They had conceded 5, they had failed to control a single match they played. The football world had watched the fall of one of the sport's great programs. Most people assumed the rebuild would take years. Most people were wrong. Because the story of what happened to Germany between that Qatar exit and the summer of 2026 is not really a story about a team slowly finding its way. It is a story about a total and deliberate reinvention, one that happened faster than anyone expected, built on a generation of young German players who are now quietly being talked about in the same breath as the best attacking units in the world. This is how Germany rebuilt. And this is why, right now, nobody wants to draw them at the 2026 World Cup. Start with Qatar. Because you cannot understand the recovery without understanding how bad the collapse really was. Germany arrived in Qatar as a team with serious structural problems that had been papered over by a decade of deep squad talent. Hansi Flick had taken over from Joachim Löw after Euro 2020 with a clear mandate: improve tournament performance. Modernize the press system, get Germany back to winning major trophies. For a while, it worked. Germany won their qualifying group for Qatar easily. They played with energy and directness that had been missing for years. But by the time the tournament started, the cracks were visible. The squad was aging in key areas. The tactical shape was rigid. And when Costa Rica and Japan both found ways to punish German defensive transitions in the group stage, there was no fix available. The system had no answers. Flick was sacked in September 2023. At the time, it felt like another false start, another coaching change that would buy time without solving anything fundamental. Then the German Football Association made the call that changed everything. Julian Nagelsmann was 36 years old when he took his first Bundesliga head coaching job at TSG Hoffenheim. He was 31 when he had already turned them into a Champions League side. By the time he joined Bayern Munich, he had already built a reputation as one of the most tactically inventive coaches in European football. A man obsessed with positional play, high-pressing triggers, and building squads that could shift between multiple shapes in the same match without losing structure. He had left Bayern under difficult circumstances. Club politics, results that did not meet expectations against the squad's enormous cost. But when the DFB, the German Football Association, rang him about the national team job in the autumn of 2023, Nagelsmann said yes almost immediately. The press conference was relaxed in a way German football press conferences rarely are. Nagelsmann did not talk about rebuilding. He did not talk about process or transition or giving the players time to adapt. He talked about playing on the front foot, about winning the ball high and converting that energy directly into goals, about being a team that opponents study and then dread. He meant it. The first thing Nagelsmann changed was the squad selection logic. Germany had carried a tendency to reward seniority, to pick players who had earned their place over years of service regardless of current form. Nagelsmann threw that out. His first major selection call was axing several senior names and building the lineup around players aged 25 and under. The names he centered everything around were already familiar to Bundesliga fans. But to most of the international football audience in late 2023, they were still emerging. Jamal Musiala had already been one of the most exciting young players in Europe since his breakout at Bayern Munich in 2021. But under Nagelsmann's national team system, Musiala was given a role that suited him perfectly. He was no longer a wide forward asked to track back and defend. He was the creative axis of a press and penetrate system, given license to drift between lines, draw defenders, and release runners with first-touch passes through the tightest spaces imaginable. Florian Wirtz was the other name. Bayer Leverkusen had won their first ever Bundesliga title in the 2023-2024 season. a story that shocked German football and captured the attention of every major European club. Wirtz was at the center of it. His ability to receive the ball under pressure in central areas and produce something dangerous, a dribble, a pass into the channel, a direct shot made him one of the most unpredictable attacking midfielders in Europe. Together, Musiala and Wirtz gave Germany something they had not had in years. They gave them joy. They gave them unpredictability. They gave them the kind of attacking spark that wins tight knockout games. Germany hosted Euro 2024 that summer, and the tournament became the clearest advertisement yet for what Nagelsmann was building. The Allianz Arena in Munich and Signal Iduna Park in Dortmund hosted German national team games in front of 70,000 partisan fans. And the team responded. They played with a freedom and directness that reminded older German supporters of the 1970 and 1990 era squads. Sides built around technical quality, relentless pressing intensity, and the belief that every ball won back was an opportunity to score. Germany made it to the quarterfinals before losing to Spain in extra time. The result hurt. Nagelsmann said after the match that it was the right result on the night that Spain were better, that Germany's defensive block had been too deep in the second half, and that his team had stopped trusting the press in the moments it mattered. Most coaches say something diplomatic after a loss. Nagelsmann does his own forensic analysis out loud. And the thing his squad has realized, the thing that makes this group different from previous German squads, is that he fixes things. Between Euro 2024 and the start of the 2026 World Cup qualifying cycle, Germany conceded just 7 goals in 12 competitive matches. They had fixed the defensive block. They had learned to press in a more organized structure. They had solved, at least partially, the problem of what happens when the first press is beaten. The qualification campaign for the 2026 World Cup was almost aggressive in its efficiency. Germany played in a European qualifying group that contained Hungary, Slovakia, and Bosnia and Herzegovina. On paper, the group was manageable. In practice, the manner in which Germany dispatched each opponent became the story. They did not just win, they controlled, they pressed, they recycled possession with a purpose and speed that made European football analysts sit up and take notes. Against Hungary in Budapest, Germany went 2-0 down inside 25 minutes and came back to win 4-2. The comeback was clinical. Nagelsmann brought on Wirtz at halftime, shifted the shape, moved Musiala central, and watched his team dismantle a well-organized defensive block in under 30 minutes of play. That comeback mattered beyond the 3 points. It told the rest of Europe that Germany now had the tactical flexibility and the individual quality to solve problems in real time. That they were not a one-system team, that they could adapt. By the time qualifying finished, Germany had won 9 of their 10 matches and finished top of the group. Here is what makes Germany specifically dangerous in a tournament format. Tournament football rewards teams that press high, win the ball back quickly, and convert those moments of transition into goals before the opposition can reorganize. It is not the same as league football, where you can wear a team down over 90 minutes and trust that your superior depth will eventually tell. In tournaments, one set piece, one moment of individual brilliance, one misread defensive line can end your campaign. Germany's current system is built precisely for these conditions. The front three, Musiala, Wirtz, and whoever starts up front in the number 9 role, press with collective triggers. When the German press clicks all 3 forwards simultaneously, cut off the center back's options, force a long ball. And 3 German midfielders are already positioned to win the second ball. It happens so fast that opposition ball carriers often panic and give possession away in dangerous areas. That turnover rate, how many times Germany wins the ball back in the attacking third through pressing, has been among the highest of any European national team in the last 18 months of competitive football. And the conversion of those turnovers into goals is even more striking. When Germany wins the ball high, the average time between ball recovery and shot on goal is under 6 seconds. 6 seconds. Most international defenses are not even close to being organized in 6 seconds. They are still shuffling into shape. And that is when Musiala or Wirtz arrives at the edge of the box with the ball at his feet and an undefended angle. The defensive numbers are equally important, because the version of Germany that went out in Qatar was exposed defensively in ways that were painful to watch. The 2025 and 2026 version of this team has Antonio Rudiger at center back. Still commanding and aggressive at 32 years old after seasons at Real Madrid, in which he developed into one of the best man-marking defenders in European club football. Alongside him, Jonathan Tah has stepped into a sweeper role that suits his reading of the game far better than the aggressive man-to-man marking he was asked to do under previous coaches. The full-back positions remain a strength. Kimmich at right back continues to be one of the best attacking fullbacks in the world, contributing assists in double figures across club and international football over the last 2 seasons. His decision-making in the final third has become more precise with age, not less. This is a back line that can defend deep, can push a high line, and can switch between the two depending on the situation. That adaptability is rare in international football. Most national teams have one defensive shape they trust. Germany under Nagelsmann now has 2. And then there is the squad depth. Because the biggest vulnerability of major tournament teams is what happens when a key player gets injured or suspended. The squad depth has to cover the gap without dropping a level. Germany can lose Musiala and bring on Leroy Sané, who has rejuvenated his career at Bayern Munich and remains one of the most direct and dangerous wide attackers in European football when he is confident. They can lose Wirtz and bring on Kai Havertz, who has had one of the most productive seasons of his career at Arsenal, playing as the central striker in Mikel Arteta's high-line pressing system and scoring 20 goals across all competitions in the 2024 to 2025 campaign. That level of squad depth is what separates serious World Cup contenders from teams that go deep in tournaments before getting undone by a single injury. Germany has built that squad, and they have done it quickly. The coaches around Europe know this. In the days and weeks after the 2026 World Cup draw in Miami, the reaction from the international football community was telling. Morocco's head coach, one of the most experienced tacticians in African football, was asked which team he wanted to avoid in the knockout stages. He did not say France, who remain technically brilliant but emotionally fragile. He did not say England, who have the depth to grind through any group. He paused and said, Germany. Because Germany, he explained, has no weakness you can comfortably target. Their press means you cannot play out from the back against them. Their width means you cannot sit in a narrow, low block. Their set-piece threat, which has improved dramatically since Nagelsmann brought in a specialist set-piece analyst from a major Premier League club, means you cannot foul on the edge of their box. That comment circulated in the football media for weeks. There is a version of this story that ends with Germany winning the 2026 World Cup in the MetLife Stadium in New Jersey and confirming the fastest rebuild in the history of a major footballing nation. There is also a version that ends in another quarter-final exit. Another clinical loss to a team that read their press, found the gaps, and converted. Both versions are possible. That is what makes tournament football worth watching. What is not debatable is the transformation itself. 3 years ago, Germany were leaving Qatar in the kind of silence that signals an era ending. Today, they are entering a World Cup as a team that the smartest coaches and the most experienced football analysts across Europe would quietly, privately, rather not face. The silence from Qatar is gone. What replaced it sounds very much like a warning. If you want to go deeper on the 2026 World Cup contenders, the full breakdown of France, Spain, and Brazil is on screen now. And subscribe, because every week there is a new story from world football that deserves this kind of attention.